No, I'm not serious. Yes, it did unfortunately take some time for this update to release today, but we finally have it, and it was well worth the wait. I will explain why I've got a couple of copper golems here leashed to this fence post and standing on some slabs. This will become very obvious, but it's important that I have these guys just standing there for quite some time. Just remember that I've got two guys over here leashed to a fence. First of all, I'm going to go through the new block here. This is called a shelf. Think of them as the Java Edition saved hotbar system, but in block form. Okay, so these guys are glorified item frames that can be interacted in bulk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this entire hotbar. That's it, right? The horrible thing about this in Bedrock Edition is that if you're in creative mode, it doesn't show the stack size. So I have to be in survival mode for this. So I'm going to right click this entire thing. It's going to place this entire hotbar into the shelf. If I right click, the entire thing goes into my hotbar. To craft a shelf, which includes all of the log variants, you simply place 3 on top and 3 on the bottom, and that creates 6 shelves. Place these over here, and of course you can do the same thing for other variants like this. You've got 6 cherry shelves. So I guess what I'll do is I'll just use these 2 for this demonstration. The fantastic thing about these items is that they can act as vertical slabs. Although they seem to be like 5 pixels wide, which makes them 5/16. So building wise, they have neat features, but they also have a function which allows you to store item stacks inside them. So I've got 3 of them here. I'm going to grab this one. And if I wanted to place an item inside one of these slots, they have 3 slots in each shelf. I simply have to right click that section there, and I've just placed my item stack inside that slot. I can do the same thing for the middle one and then the one on the right. So they store 3 different stacks of items. You can right click that stack to get it all out again. It simply swaps what you're holding. It doesn't add to your stack. So for instance, if I had like 32 here and I'll place 32 over there, it doesn't increase this to 64. It just swaps whatever you're holding inside. Oh my God. Okay, wait. Oh, that's a problem. No. Okay, fine, whatever. I'll explain that later. Okay, so that's the basic functionality of shelves. There is a lot more to them though. Okay, so the reason I'm able to do what I did before, where I swapped my entire hotbar into the shelf, is that if you power them and you have 3 adjacent shelves of the same type of log, they will connect like so. So let me take them all out, and you can see I've powered all of them with a lever. Each of these are now powered. So what that allows you to do is it links up all the shelves so you can interact with them in a single click. And this is how they all work individually. So let me turn these 2 off, and I can show you if I have one shelf that's powered, it will interact with the last 3 slots of your hotbar. Like this. You can see that the last 3 items inside my hotbar are being placed inside. So if I do this, it's going to put 7 and 9 inside that slot. And then if I power the second one, the one in the middle, and I do this, it interacts with the middle 3 slots. You can see 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are now interacting with those 2. This behavior is not customizable. I'm assuming Mojang's doing this because the first 3 slots of your hotbar are normally where the most important items are. The last 2/3 of your hotbar might be a little more messy, a little more insignificant. There are some players who don't play that way. They play their hotbar inverted, and that, I guess, sucks. So to connect the last 3 slots of your hotbar, which would be 1, 2, and 3, you simply power this one, and then the entire shelf is connected, and then you can right click it, and now you have all the items displayed. Now I'm not entirely sure whether these are block entities or tile entities. I think they are, and that makes it really complicated because Java Edition, you can't move tile entities with pistons. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is a tile entity. It's a chest. It renders a little bit differently, behaves a little bit differently to regular blocks like grass blocks, cobblestone, logs, and it can't be moved with a piston. In Java Edition. In Bedrock Edition, you can move chests with pistons. What that basically means is that if you have a block containing information, that does get saved, and that's transferable between block coordinates. There is no parity in this behavior with Java Edition. So I have a set of shelves here. These 3 are connected. This is not connected, even though it sort of looks like it. So I can swap out these items through that shelf. You can see here the piston and the lever ordinarily inside my hotbar. However, let's say I want to swap out this netherite system with my diamond system. I've got the crossbow here, but humor me for a second. So I can take this out and I can push this one through. It still hasn't been connected, but I can simply refresh that. So now you can see I've swapped out successfully the netherite stuff with the diamond stuff. I can retract this, push this one back through, refresh the lever system, and now these shelves are connected instead of the other one. And that's it. All right, so it's been about 20 minutes or so, and this guy is still walking around aimlessly. The other guy has now turned into a statue. I've just moved him from here to here. I'm going to leave him alone, and I'll explain that a little bit later. So we've got the copper golem, and that can now turn into a copper golem statue. These guys, you can see right here, they're slowly oxidizing. It's not my fault. So the way this works is as follows. You have a copper golem, you spawn one in. After about a few seconds of being oxidized, he will turn into a copper golem statue. So he doesn't turn into a statue immediately after oxidizing. It takes a bit of time. He's got maybe just like that. 1 to 30 seconds before he turns. I'm assuming he does this because Mojang's giving you the chance to wax him before he turns into a block. So he's got about a random time set to him. You can wax him when you want to, and if you don't, he turns into a block. This is an actual block, by the way. Now, I thought they were supposed to freeze into a random pose, but it seems like every time I do it, it's all the same pose. So I'm wondering if that's just an issue they haven't rectified, but they'll always just be standing straight like this. He's gonna, oh my god, he's gonna hold himself. All right, cool. Place him down, and then he goes over here. He's gonna open this chest, right? And when he does, he's gonna pick himself out. That's so sad. So he's gonna turn into a statue, and when he does, he's gonna drop the item that he was holding originally. They're gonna fix that lighting there. So this behavior is completely independent of what it was doing before. There's just a set timer, and if that timer expires, he's going to statuate. He's gonna die, which is kind of sad because you can just mine him. All right, so now I'm gonna explain what's going on over here in the slab section. So the reason I did this is because Awakened Redstone during the Twitch live stream supposed that maybe if they were standing on slabs, they could replace the slab block underneath it if it turns into a statue, which is completely reasonable. And now, as you can see, I've been standing here for the last half an hour, and this guy has still not turned into a statue. His friend has, and that's because that guy somehow got pushed off the slab block, and that's how he turned into a statue. This guy has been standing on the slab for a long time, and he has not turned. So that's one way for them to not turn into a statue. But if you thought about it carefully, you can just wax this guy, and he'll never turn into a statue. So let me free him from his leash, and you can see as I just lead him around, he doesn't turn into a statue. The statue also contains name tag information. So let's say I summon another one here, and I name him Jim the Third, and then if he turns into a statue like that, and then I pick block like this, you can see that I've got some data. Now that's interesting. I've just right-clicked him and he's got a pose, but he doesn't. But you can see I've got data inside there. So if I scrape off all of the oxidation and then revive him, he's still named Jim the Third. That's really cool. They really thought this through very well. Another thing you can do is you can right-click the copper golem with an empty hand to remove the items from its hand. You want honeycomb? Nope. And finally, you can see here I've got a couple of copper golems that I've statuated, and there are 4 different poses that you can select by right-clicking them. You can see there's a different comparator output depending on which pose you've selected, which means you can create your very own combination lock system by simply changing copper golem statue states. But unfortunately, they don't change if you power them with redstone. Food for thought for later updates. Just one real quick thing I forgot to mention in the recording. They also updated the texture of dyes in the game. I'm not going to make too much of a comment on them, but if you like them, leave a comment. If you don't like them, that seems to be the consensus for a lot of people. It's a little awkward that they have a consistent boundary on the bottom, but it looks like they're making sweeping changes with accessibility in the game. And yes, the ladder thing is still there. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more news updates. I'm kind of still waiting for the Java snapshot, as we all are, but preview edition is where it's at with the updates right now. And I'm still a Smurf.